Hey guys, so we have the announcement here that we've been waiting for. Legends limited character. This is the 4th character as a part of the Powerful Opponent campaign here. This is the big one. Let's go ahead and see what they got for us here. Legends limited. Oh. There's his ultimate. There's a supernova. Yeah, okay, cool. That's good. Nice. Alright, so there we go. Final form cooler. Alright, so that, again, 4th character of the Powerful Opponent campaign. Now, this portion over here does say that the next character that's going to fill this last slot over here, this 5th slot, is a Zenkai awakenable character. So I'm just going to tell you guys right now, there's been leaks that it's Slug, Blue Slug, which is kind of like whatever. I mean, at this point, Zenkai characters are like explicitly for bench use, right? But I think Slug actually could make a pretty good bench for Regen. I assume he's going to be buffing Blue Powerful Opponent with his Zenkai ability. And he already buffs Regen with his Z ability. So him as like a solid bench option for Regen is actually pretty good. Like that's the core of what makes these teams really good these days, is having a really solid bench array of characters, right? Regen does have that already. Like if we take a look, I have all this cooler stuff pulled up, but just to get Slug out of the way now, because that's who it is. Let's go see if we can open up the Regen for a second. I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. So what I mean by this, and I did talk about this a bit in the video I published earlier today or yesterday or whatever, the cooler coming video or whatever. The video where I discussed LOE. One of the things that makes all these like good Saiyan teams so good is that they have such a good array of options for their bench. And so Slug being blue, and I'm assuming he's buffing Blue Powerful Opponent. Let's take a look at Slug. Like, what is his Z ability? I don't think it's like crazy good, but it's not bad. Yeah, 28% of both offenses for Regen. So you're stacking this on top of, I'm assuming, Blue Powerful Opponent. Like, you're going to be giving Kid Buu like almost 70% to his offensive stats through the Slug bench alone. Like, that's really impactful. Metal Cooler is going to get that as well. But yeah, I guess, admittedly, there's not that many good blue characters for Regen right now. But Regen, I mean, let's go back to the Zenkai list here. So Regen has like the Green Fat Buu Zenkai. Green Fat Buu, where is he? Because Green Fat Buu already double buffs defense for Regen, and then he's also buffing Green Regen with his Zenkai ability. So like again, this is a really potent bench ability. And so these are the kinds of Zenkai abilities I think that shape like these best teams. We see it with the Saiyan team, we see it with Future, we see it with Powerful Opponent, and now Regen is going to get added to this list as well, I think. So that's a really good sign for the Regen team. But talking about Cooler specifically, okay, so we see a few things going on in this video. They don't really show much. We see that's his green card. That has to be his green card, right? This like, hold on, he does like the laugh. Like this has to be his, like this is a stop time green card. The laugh and then like this pose over here, that's probably his green card, which is good because it does show that his blue card is a like melee based charging forward blue card. Obviously has blast armor. And the thing with this is if you pull up LOE, so LOE, if you want to use this purple Frieza, you're gonna have a lot of blue cards in your hand most of the time. And then even if you run Mecha Frieza sort of is filling the same role, I feel like, as First Form Frieza in providing you a ton of blue cards. Because this guy draws like blue cards with like 3 or 4 different ways. So if you end up using this cooler with like either of these 2 purple characters, which might be a good option, assuming he's red. We don't know yet, but I'm actually praying to God that he's red, please. You know, red and purple pair up well together. It might not be the greatest ever to just have like a ton of blue cards in your hand if your blue card is a melee based blue card. And the reason why I said that is because, for example, if you're using, I don't know, like LF full power Frieza, for example, you're using LF full power Frieza and you have like 3 blue cards in your hands, you can just sort of chuck those out from long range, and you're not really going to get punished all that often from doing that unless you get PV, but that's with anything. With a melee-based blue card, like if you have 3 blue cards in your hand and you're this cooler who is only a melee-based blue card character, it's just hard to empty your hand out, right? So that's why I'm really happy that his green card effect is a stop time, because what you can do is you can float to mid-range, pop your green card, see if there's an exclamation point, and then pop your blue card. So that could be a way you could sort of empty your hand out with this cooler here, but that is something to keep in mind. And then obviously the only other thing they do show here is his ultimate, which is this. Interesting to see what they're going to do with the animation if it's not an LF. I assume it's... So he throws Goku down. Maybe it's just going to be him like smashing Goku into a rock or something. If it's not the LF. I actually don't know what they're going to do for that. But yeah. If you guys want to hear my like super in-depth thoughts of what I would want out of this cooler, go check out the video I uploaded, the last video before this one. I mean, it was pretty obvious to me that they were going to do some kind of Lineage Evil character as the LF because they just released the free-to-play metal cooler and we had this Mecha Frieza, and they're pretty obviously pushing the LOE tag right now. But looking at this team, there's really one glaring hole in this team, and it's the fact that we don't have like a viable red character. We have this entire team has 3 red characters, or I guess 4. You can count this Euro second form Frieza. We have the red metal cooler, we have the transforming golden Frieza, and then we have the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie Frieza from 2 years ago. This guy, I've seen a lot of people bring this guy up. I'm like, oh, you know, LOE doesn't have a red character, and people are like, oh yeah, you're forgetting the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie Final Form Frieza. I will admit this guy is not really the worst character of all time. He's actually okay. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys that this guy is like unusably bad, because he's not. But if you're talking about actually being able to compete with the top teams in the game right now, you're not gonna be walking into a fight with this red Frieza. He's gonna get one combo by like a yellow character. Like he's just not able to compete with the current meta. But he's definitely not like the worst character of all time. I mean, you take a look at every other color on this team. Green, we have Golden Frieza. Purple, we have Mecha Frieza and this first form Frieza. Blue, we have Revival Frieza, probably one of the biggest staples on this team. I honestly really do like this EX Final Form cooler, but the problem is that this team is so blast-based that it's hard to really find a spot for this guy to shine. But I actually do think he's very good. So blue, we have also the free-to-play metal cooler, who I actually think is not bad. He could definitely find a spot on this team, especially because my showcase, I was actually pretty surprised at how well he did. He was only, I think he was 7 stars in that showcase, so still has a long way to go before he's at his full potential. Yellow, we have the LF full power Frieza and the OG Zenkai full power Frieza, who I think actually could still be pretty decent. It's just a really bad meta for them right now with all the red androids and UI Gokus running around. And that's it, right? We did, yeah, purple, green, blue, and yellow. So red is really the only color that this team really doesn't have like anything for. And for that reason, I think the optimal lineup that you want to be using for LOE includes running the androids in the leader slot to fill that gap of this team not having a red character. So essentially what I'm looking for out of this Final Form cooler is I'm looking for number 1 to be red, right? That's, it's a very basic thing. We need to have at least one decent option of each color for the entire team. I think that's not a hot take. And then the second thing is going to be a little bit more tough, I think, because when you think of Final Form cooler, especially knowing now that his blue card is a melee-based blue card, when you think of the character Final Form cooler, you don't really think of a blast character. You think of Final Form cooler as being like this, just like sort of brawling character who just beats you down with his fists and pummels you into the ground and just throws you around like a ragdoll. That's what Final Form cooler is. Kind of similar to like Dragon Ball Z Broly in a way, right? Just a big muscle-headed character. So with that in mind, it's really hard to imagine this cooler being a blast character, which is kind of annoying for specifically LOE because of how blast heavy this team is. Take a look at all the characters that you're running on this team, or you have options to run. LF First Form Frieza is blast based. You have Mecha Frieza is blast based. Angel Golden Frieza is blast based. This new free to play metal cooler is blast based. This red Dragon Ball Super Broly movie Frieza is blast based. This OG full power freeze is blast based. The LF full power freeze is blast based. Even the old golden freeze is blast based. Purple chilled is blast. I forgot to even mention purple chilled, but he's a solid option for the team still as a purple. Purple chilled is blast based, and that's really it. Pretty much every other character on this team is blast based. You have a few outliers, like I think this green first form freeze is more strike based. The green metal cooler I think is kind of mixed, but I think slightly more leans towards being melee based. He's a melee type, but he actually has higher blast stats, which is obviously they did that for a reason because the team is blast based. But I think the biggest exception to this rule is the OG Final Form cooler, the blue sparking Final Form cooler who is now Zenkai, and you have the EX Final Form cooler. So both instances of Final Form coolers are strike based. Then you have the purple transforming one who's a defense type, but I think he is more strike based overall. We'll take a look at his spread of stats. Yeah, definitely more strike based there. So I think we're probably looking at this cooler being a strike based character, and I think again the blue card being a melee based blue card pretty much solidifies that in my opinion. So it's gonna be tough to find a spot for him on this team if you want to maximize and optimize what he wants to be doing, which is strike damage. So I think what we're going to probably be looking at here is him actually not... Well, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say he's not going to be buffing LOE, because he's definitely going to be. Like he's going to be a big buff for LOE, but I think the primary team you're going to be looking at using this character on is Powerful Opponent, and which is it makes sense because that's literally the name of the name of the campaign that's going on right now. So number one, do I think he's realistically going to be better than the Android 17 and 18? Probably not. I mean, is there a chance he is? Yeah, but it's a very tall order, very very big shoes to fill to be better than the Android 17 and 18 because they're just so oppressive. But if this guy does end up being red, right? I'm just assuming for the sake of LOE and also for movies that he will be red. I think that you could actually end up making a pretty solid like double red team for Powerful Opponent, because you could do something like Cooler as a red character in the leader slot. You could put the androids on there, and then you could do something like Cell as the third main lineup character. So you're gonna have a red purple setup here, and the thing is you're making your two non-leader slot core units future based. So what you can do in that case is you can actually slide on where's Red Rose? You can slide on Red Rose to the bench. Red Rose, let me show you guys this. Red Rose is buffing 35% to future and God Key strike attack and defense, so all the main characters in the lineup are getting this buff. And then on top of that, he's buffing Red Powerful Opponent with the Zenkai ability, so both the androids and Cooler would be getting a buff from that. Next, we can put on, well, she's not on here, but Green Mai, because again, you're running a future-based Powerful Opponent team, where she's giving 25% HP to your full lineup, which is obviously ridiculous. And then the last slot is kind of a toss-up. You could actually do, you could put Purple 21 on the bench, run a double HP bench, 45% total HP with the Z abilities coming from 21 and Mai. Because remember, 21's buffing androids HP as well. So 17 and 18 are going to get affected by this, and Cell. And Cell's getting the Zenkai ability from 21. So that could be a nice third bench option. Another option you could do is throw on this Fusion 13. Fusion 13 is a really nice option for this team as well, because he's also buffing, I think it's the androids, both offenses by 31%. And he's buffing red androids with the Zenkai ability, so the 17-18 will be getting a second Zenkai buff. And the third option you could do, because this guy's honestly, he's okay, but he's not going to be giving like this massive buff to the Cooler. It's only 31%. You could throw on, let's see, where is this guy? Purple EX. You could throw this guy on the bench, because your team is technically only red and purple characters. This guy is buffing 50% to strike attack and defense for red and purple through his Z ability. So this guy could be a nice option if you really want to get the most out of Cooler in the leader slot there. But I think a team of your three main characters being, again, I'm assuming Cooler is going to be red. An LF Final Form red Cooler in the leader slot. Android 17 and 18 being red, and then LF Perfect Cell being purple. So you're having a future Powerful Opponent core team here. You throw, I think what I would probably do personally is, because I'm more of a defense person with it, well, more of an HP bench loving person, I guess. You throw Mai on the bench. You throw the Red Rose on the bench, And then I would throw purple 21 on the bench. So you have a 45% HP Z ability spread. You have a Zenkai ability that's being applied to the androids and cooler via Rose. And then you have a Zenkai ability being provided to Cell via purple 21. So everyone on the team is getting Zenkai buffed, and they're getting 45% HP. I think that team is going to be insane. Now, the only downside to this lineup that I see really being an issue is you don't have any endurance and you don't have any revives. So if you get rushed, you're pretty much just going to be dead, unless you're in a situation where they make this cooler so defensive that he could actually survive a rush, which is possible. I mean, you're going to have a lot of HP on this team, and you could even potentially give this cooler some HP equipment to help him out in that regard. So for all we know, this cooler could end up being a defense character, which I think could actually be pretty good for this specific team, because let's be realistic here. The androids are going to be fine carrying the damage by themselves. So if this cooler is kind of like a modern version of purple transforming cooler, where he's a defense type, but he's also supporting the team whenever he takes hits, like, this could be a sick team. This could be a sick team. So I think looking more so at the powerful opponent side of things, more so than just focusing on LOE, is probably the path they want you to look at when you're, considering this Final Form cooler. The other option is movies, which I think definitely is a consideration as well. Because taking a look at the movie team, like, what red character is there? What red slot are you using on the movies team? You have very few options. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about Red EX Turles. No, yeah, okay. But, like, who's the best red character on this team? Is it Bojack? Probably. Is Bojack better than Zenkai Great Saiyaman 1 and 2? I think so. I think I'd take Bojack over them. I think Bojack is probably the best red character on this team still, over a year later. So that's pretty nuts. So if this cooler is red, not only does he help LOE, not only does he help powerful opponent, but he also helps movies. So he's actually helping 3 teams out a lot just from him being red. So please, I am actually begging you, make him red. We don't know what his details are yet. I'm assuming they'll be tweeted out either later or tomorrow. Because this is an interesting scenario. We really don't often get these reveals for these big characters not with a reveal and stuff. So this is kind of a different flow here. But let me know down below what you guys think of this red. Not red. I'm manifesting it. I'm so manifesting the fact that I want him to be red. Let me know down below what you guys think of this LF Final Form cooler. Are you excited? I'm definitely excited because, again, I've been asking for powerful opponent buffs for a long time, and it's not only just because he's an LOE character, just because I legitimately want, like, this powerful opponent team to actually be, like, a competitive top tier option, and I feel like it's just struggled to find that spot for so long. So I'm really hopeful that this cooler can push them to the next level. Let me know down below what you guys think of this cooler, and I will see you all in the next one.